Welcome to Terrifying 10.
Oh my, y'all playing too much.
If you haven't yet come to the conclusion from those clips and the title, this video is all about Darwin winners of the very best variety. Because they're all Florida men, plus a very special appearance from a Florida woman who won herself a Darwin Award too. So, without further ado, let's begin, shall we? Number 1, Matthew Riggins. An alligator has drowned a Florida man while he was trying to hide from the police, and then it began to eat him. This is Matthew Riggins, 22, and he was first reported missing in November 2015. Shortly after, he and another man had made a plan to rob houses in Barefoot Bay, according to his girlfriend. 10 days later, his remains were found floating in Barefoot Pond, closely guarded by an 11-foot alligator. Local resident Laura Ferris said he hid in the wrong place. You don't say! Bay News 9 reported that Matthew and his accomplice were spotted lurking behind homes by neighbors who called police the night after the robberies. Deputies arrived on scene at around 2 a.m. and began to look for the men using K-9 units and even a helicopter. Somehow they both managed to escape authorities. And Matthew even called his girlfriend during the chase to let her know what was happening and to tell her he was laying low. Apparently, a bit too low. Like laying low near the edge of a pond. A pond that has alligators. Unfortunately, the alligator met an untimely end on the day the remains were found. The alligator was trapped and put down so that they could reach Matthew and verify it was him. Like most alligator prey, Matthew was drowned before the alligator began feasting. As for Matthew's accomplice, he is refusing to cooperate with the police and denying any involvement. At least, he didn't get eaten by an alligator. Moving on to number 2, Timothy Ackerman. It was spring break in Florida when base jumper Timothy leapt from the 23rd floor of a hotel in Florida. The 31-year-old was known as a thrill seeker, so around 6:45 p.m. that fateful day, Timothy decided to strap a parachute to his back, take a quick elevator ride up to the 23rd floor, and then he jumped. Only his parachute did not open. Instead, horrified onlookers watched as he plummeted to the concrete ground below. Police say they were called to Sunrise Beach Resort to a report of a dead person. When they arrived, they found Timothy clutching his new Darwin Award so tight you couldn't even pry it from his dead, cold fingers. And who says spring break isn't fun anymore? Pshaw. Number 3, David Brown. Remember Sir Mix-a-Lot? Baby's got back. My anaconda don't want none. Well, this anaconda didn't want none either, but David definitely gave it some. Hasn't he ever heard the book? No, David! Come on, man. So, what happened? Right. Rewind back to the beginning. David Brown, 22, was found wearing nothing, and also completely enveloped in his pet anaconda. A friend had stopped by after multiple missed calls, and this is what that poor soul found. You see, this David had some special interests, very similar to another David, another dead David, talking about David Carradine. This David, David Brown, he liked his throat being constricted, and he found out his pet anaconda, who was a female in case you were wondering, well, she was very good at wrapping tightly around his neck, until the snake said, "Not today," and she decided it was time for revenge. The snake survived the whole ordeal. I hear she is in contact with a great psychologist and has plans on talking to other snakes who have been wronged in a similar matter. Speaking of snakes, look at all these snakes! Each time that you tap that like button, it helps get a snake off. I hate snakes, so please tap that like button! It's time for Florida Woman. Meet Carissa Rajpal. This beauty had big dreams of being a movie star, only not the Hollywood blockbuster film type. This is more, adult type films. Now, she was beautiful, am I right? But the only thing she felt she needed to entice her audience more was a bigger trunk to fit more junk. Remember, Sir Mix-a-Lot, my anaconda don't want none, unless it's got buns, hun. Duh. So, she found the best deal on buttocks injections from 2 women who don't look shady at all. And they ran the entire operation from their home. Much more cozy environment. Carissa even posted photos and videos lying on her stomach while the cosmetic procedure was being done. The 2 women were injecting Carissa with liquid silicone, and they were using silicone they had illegally obtained. Well, after her 3rd treatment of this, the liquid silicone was in her blood. This was not good. The 26-year-old was rushed to the hospital with multiple silicone embolisms, and shortly after she passed. The 2 shady women were found and arrested for running an illegal plastic surgery clinic out of their house. Honestly, look at them. Tell me you would trust them. Like, look at me in the eyes and say it like you mean it. That's right, you can't. Now it's time for number 4, Calvin Jackson. Poor Calvin. It honestly doesn't surprise me that his life ended the way it did, and his friends sound like they're on the fast path to joining him. You see, Calvin and his friends were having a grand day full of booze and boats and bolts, maybe, because they were building a boat. And once it was finished, they decided to take it out and test it out. All of the men were on the boat when it capsized, and everyone managed to swim back to shore. Everyone except Calvin. He couldn't swim, and obviously didn't have a life vest, because who needs those silly things? When officers arrived, they began questioning the men. None of them could quite recall what happened. They knew they were building a boat, and they wanted to test it out, but none of them remembered just how they had gotten back on land. So, does it sound like a drunken Florida Man Darwin, or was something fishy going on? Let me know in the comments below, and then go watch this video right now and see how this man won a Darwin Award with a scarecrow. It's the strangest thing. Go on. What are you waiting for? Tap that video, and as always, stay safe out there. Group TT.